my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and these are the hottest Golden Age comics for the week. It's going to be a very romantic themed episode. Lots of romance books made the list, but really great ones. A lot of the ones that you don't see very often. It's kind of interesting to see them on the list. So, number 10 on the list is True Love Problems and Advice Illustrated, number 24. This is from Harvey Comics, 1953. It is a Lee Elias cover. And one of the things that people don't realize about Lee Elias is he didn't just do Precode horror. He did a lot of other stuff. And one of the things that he did was romance. He did a lot of romance covers and really great ones. This one is, this book has a little bit of an extra bonus in terms of controversy around it. It actually includes a rape scene, which is very, very rare for the Golden Age. So lots of controversy around this book. This was a 7.5 that sold, and it sold for $204. It's the only sale in this grade, so it is a record for that reason. But there was a 9.6 that sold back in April of 2020 for $637. So this is maybe in line with that 9.6 sale. It's hard to say. It kind of get this weird doubling effect that happens at the super high grades. But $204 seems like a reasonable price for this book. There's only 13 of these on the census, and 13 of them are universal blue labels. Number 9 on the list is Romantic Hearts, number 5. This is from Story Comics, 1951. It is a Bill Facio cover, and it's a skating cover. You know, the typical scene, a lot of this is a very typical trope for romance books, where you have the couple and then you have in the distance or in the forefront, sometimes they switch around, the third woman, the other woman, the second woman, that's like either pining for the guy or is maybe the girlfriend of the guy or something. You know, there's always some love triangle that's being illustrated on the cover, and this is just in that line. This was a 8.0 that sold, and it sold for $660. Again, this is the only sale for this comic in this grade, and it's the only sale across any grade for this comic. So it's just one of those ones where I have no idea. I have no idea if this was a great sale or terrible sale, but it is a strong sale for this book. You know, there's only 2 of them on the census. So Romantic Hearts, number 5. This kind of situation where you don't see these things very often on either on the census or at auction really makes it difficult to appraise them. So what they go for can be anyone's guess. So very interesting sale. First one for this book. Great sale. Number 8 on the list is Uncanny Tales, number 1. This is from Atlas Comics, 1952. It's a Sal Brodsky cover. And it actually has 2 Stan Lee stories inside. And it's just a really cool one. I like these ones where you got sort of a mixture of good girl and pre-code horror. And you got this woman in the grave and her like arms are all skeletal. It's got so many classic horror elements to it. Just a really cool cover. This was a 5.5 that sold, and it sold for $900. The previous record for this book was set back in December of 2022 for $738. So it's up reasonably well for a pre-code horror book. A lot of the Atlas pre-code horror books are actually fairly undervalued compared to many of the other pre-code horror company titles. So this one's a pretty strong sale. There are 65 of these on the census, and 61 of them are universal blue labels. Next one on the list, number 7, is Planet Comics number 26. This is from Fiction House, 1943. It is a Joe Dooling cover, and it's a rare one. This is what's called scarce. Rare is actually higher Gerber rating. This would be scarce. It's a 7 on the Gerber scale. 8 is a rare. You're going to go by true definitions. This was it's a great bondage cover, and it's a it's also where Space Rangers start within the title. Um, this was a 6.5 that sold, and it sold for $1,050. Now, this one sadly didn't perform as well as some of the previous books. This is quite down. The previous record for this book was set back in October of 2023 for $1,440. So it's down almost 40% from its highs. I'm not sure why it's gone down so much. I think somebody might have just gotten a really good deal on it. There's only 38 of these on the census, and 35 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 6 on the list, another romance book, is My Romantic Adventures, number 50. Now, whenever I see this book, I just love this book, so I have to have it on the list. This is from American Comics Group, or ACG, and from 1954, so right at the end of that golden age of comics. It's an Ogden Whitney cover, and it's a double cover. So this is a little bit of a heads up on this one. This is a classic cover, though. It's like this woman that's gone insane. She's got this weird yellow face. Like, she looks just crazy. Really awesome cover and story. This was a 4.0 interior cover, if that makes sense, because it's the front cover is a 3.0 and the interior cover is a 4.0. So it's considered to be a 4.0 graded comic. So they go by the highest of the two covers. So this was a 4.0, and it sold for $2,160. This is the only sale for this book, and in this grade. And the interesting thing is, Go Collect says that the fair market value is $1,300 for this one. So this is well above that $1,300 fair market value. Now, we can also compare it to sales near it. This one has a few more sales, so it's a little easier to do this kind of analysis. There was a 5.0 that sold in February of 2020 for $1,380. And there was a 2.0 that's sold in August of 2023 for $660. So this is like if you go compare it to the 2.0, it's like double what you would expect a 4.0 to sell for. If you compare it to the 5.0, well, it's actually double the 5.0. So very strong sale, really, really strong sale for this book. There's only 25 of these on the census, and 25 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So really great book, strong sale. Number 5 on the list is 4-Color number 9. This is from Dell, 1942. It is actually a major book for Carl Barks collectors. This is actually the first time you get Carl Barks drawing Donald Duck. It's not his cover, though. It's a Hank Porter cover, but this is the first time you get Carl Barks drawing Donald Duck, which makes it very significant because he's considered the good duck artist. It's kind of his moniker. This very important book for Carl Barks collectors, and there's lots of Carl Barks collectors. This is Pirate's Gold. That's what the story was that he did inside of the book. This was a pretty weak sale, actually. This was a 6.5 that sold, and it sold for $2,640. Now, that sounds like a big sale, but compared to what this book sold in January of 2022, where it sold for $4,320, this is a pretty massive decline in price. Actually, even before this sale, there had been a major drop on this book. The most recent sale prior to this one was last month, in June of 2024, for $3,120. So it's gone down over $1,700 from its peak, and another $500 from just what it sold last month. So it's just, I'm not sure why it's on this downward slide, but it's not performing that well. There's 164 of these on the census, and 139 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 4 on the list is Out of Shadows, number 14. This is from Standard, 1954. It's a skull in a suit of armor, And it's got a bit of that good girl, good girl art vibe as well, where you get the girl coming down the stairs and it's this weird suit of armor. And it also has a werewolf story inside. So lots of cool elements going for this one. This one's an interesting sale because it was 7.0 and it sold for $2,640, which was a massive sale for this book. Now, probably the reason why it sold for such a high amount is it is the highest graded copy for this particular comic. I actually checked eBay listings, and there's actually a fair number of them on the for available for sale, and they're usually like $100, maybe $200 range for mid-grade copies. So this was a massive sale. The last like graded comic sale was, so there was no other 7.0 sales so to compare it with, but there was a 3.0 sale. And just to give you a sense of how much of a premium this highest graded copy gets, the 3.0 sold for $339 back in March of 2024. So not even that long ago, a 3.0 sold for $200. So you would expect a 7.0 maybe to go for $500-$600, but for it to go for $2,000, it just seems like a bit of an extreme jump in price. So 10 times what the 3.0 had sold for. Just pretty crazy. I'm not sure why. I think somebody must have really wanted this one. I think it was a bit of an overpay, like by a few thousand, but you never know. There are 24 of these on the census, and 22 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 3 on the list is Power Comics #1. This is from Holyoke, 1944. It's a L.B. Cole cover. It's a really cool L.B. Cole cover. Though actually, Power Comics is one of those short-run titles that has some really great L.B. Cole covers. It's all of them are quite sought after. Number 3, though, I believe, is not L.B. Cole cover, but the other issues are. It's actually, I think number 3 was one of the ones where it was a blank within the Gerber guide, where they didn't have a picture. But number 1 is an L.B. Cole cover, very cool L.B. Cole cover with two guys fighting. Looks like on a skyrise that's being built. Just a really cool cover. This was a 7.0 that sold, and it sold for $2,880. Now, this is also down quite considerably. The previous record for this book was set last year in June of 2023 for $5,280. So it's really dropped from then. There was actually a more recent sale where it still was down a bit, where in November of 2023, it sold for $4,800. So this is down like $200 from that previous sale. Really weak sale for this book. And as I said, the Power Comics are actually ones that L.B. Cole collectors would kind of chase after. I mean, these are quite popular covers. I'm not sure why it did so poorly, but definitely down. There are 38 of these on the census, and 36 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 2 on the list is Superboy #1. This is from DC Comics, 1940, and it's a Wayne Boring cover. And it's interesting because even though it's titled Superboy, it actually has Superman on the cover. And you get these kids asking, what were you like as a kid, on the cover. And he's like turning over the page, going to show his origin story and his life as a kid. That's how the original Superboy was, that it was just the younger version of Superman. It wasn't until much later that they actually had it as a separate character. Now, this was a 6.5 that sold, and it sold for $4,080, which is a strong sale. It's not a massive record, but the previous record was set back in November of 2021 for $3,960. So it's up about $100. Not a huge, massive increase, but it is actually up from the last sale, though. In May of 2023, this book had actually gone down quite considerably. It sold for $3,480. So really it's recovered and kind of gained a little bit from its prior record. There are 267 of these on the census, and 210 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 1 on the list is a really interesting one. This is Mystic Comics number 7. It's from Timely, 1941. It's a Joe Simon and Jack Kirby cover, and it's featuring Hitler opening his box of horrors. Just a really cool, Hitler cover, featuring the Destroyer on the cover. This is just a really, really cool comic, and it also is the first appearance of the Witness. So you got a cool Hitler cover, you got a cool, like, obscure character, the Destroyer, and you get this first appearance as well. So this book was a 2.5 that sold, so really low grade, and it sold for $7,800. The previous record for this book was set back in 2017, in October of 2017, for $1,912. So it's gone up 3-4 times from that previous record in 2017. Yeah, so there was a 5.5 that sold in 2019 for $6,300. So this is like even up over the 5.5 that sold, so double the grade, and it sold for more than that. So really, really strong sale for this low grade copy. I think it's just such a hard book to find. There's only 40 of these on the census, and 27 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So finding a Universal label, a blue label of this book is quite hard, and it's one that probably a lot of collectors wouldn't let leave their collection. So you just don't see it that often. You can see even by the 2 sales that I mentioned that the last time this book had sold was 5 years ago, or even longer than that, like 7 years ago. So it just doesn't sell that often, and so when it does come up, people are willing to pay up for it. So very strong sale for a very cool Hitler cover. And these Hitler covers are very desired by collectors. So, it's really hard to get that complete collection of all the various Hitler covers that were from the Golden Age without this book. So, a lot of collectors won't let it leave their collection. Just a really interesting one. What do you think? Do you like collecting these kind of like evil villain hero characters like Hitler or whatever? What do you think of the romance books? They seem to be performing quite well. Maybe we're seeing a shift because the Precode horror, which were strong, are actually not performing that well, and the romance ones are actually performing really well. So are we seeing a shift in the Golden Age? Are we seeing a shift from Precode horror to maybe some more romance books? What's going on? What do you think? I'd love to hear your comments in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.